Hello everybody, I'm Andrew. I'm playing some Mega Stakes Zoom on Pokerstars. Actually playing 1 cent, 2 cent, full ring, which is kind of like, it's an interesting game, even though it's the lowest stake on Pokerstars, well, pretty much in the entire world. Some interesting spots do come up, and I know a lot of people, and I have a lot of friends who seem to make quite a lot of strange mistakes playing micro limit games. So I just thought I would play some hands and then, I have ace king here on the button, so it's just a standard open. I don't really have stats on too many people. I'm just going to do a 70% c bet here. There's not much you can really have on a board like that. Some draws, of course, but he's folding out a lot of his range there and just take it down. Paired boards are great for c betting. But yeah, I'm going to play some hands until we get a really interesting one where I have a tough decision, or if I'm confused about anything, and then we'll use Card Runners EV and Equilab to do a deeper analysis of that hand. Let's see. Well, this is not a bad start. Aces. Oh, by the way, you will notice that all the stats and everything that would be in cents and dollars is now in terms of big blinds. That's because of the software Stars Helper, which I can't show you because it seems to be stuck at the outside of the screen. But it's called Stars Helper, and I highly recommend it. Stars Helper is what's giving me these extra little bits of HUD as well, showing the position at a glance. And I think that's my how much equity I need to call, and that is the stacked pot ratio. I'm obviously just going to lay this down. It's tough to get a lot of stats on people, and I'm having trouble with my HUD at the moment. It shouldn't really be showing anybody's HUD until I've got 100 hands on them. So, but nevertheless, it's not showing any information. It's just the blank HUD that's showing up. But it does take a while to get some information on people. I'm using my laptop because I can't record sound properly on my main PC. I only have a lot more hands on my main PC. There we have someone who I've got more than 100 hands on. There we are. So this guy seems to be... Oh, I've not got my labels on here. He seems to be quite taggy. 15, 13. Standard stats for a tag at this level, I think. A little bit on the nitty side, but not too much. That guy's a big nit. Uber nit. Give him a dark brown colour for the darkest brown reserved only for Uber nits, and that is you. Actually, it's as nits go, as Uber nits go, you can see some Uber nits at this level that would play even less than 8% of hands. So let's re-tag this guy. I've had trouble in the past working out what my labels should be. You don't want to have too many labels because that's what your stats are for. You might as well just look at the numbers if you've got lots of different colours going on. I've just been 3-bet here. I think it's a standard open, king 9 offsuit from the button, an unopened pot. No idea what this guy has got, but I can't defend against it. Now, a lot of people, for some reason, find a call there, which is probably the worst thing you can do. To call through, especially with such a strange hand. It's dominated way too often. The best thing to do is just get out of the way of a weak player who is showing aggression. Now, typically when really bad players, especially passive players, show a lot of aggression, this guy's really fishy. When bad players show a lot of aggression, they tend to be stronger more often than not. When passive players are showing aggression, you just want to make sure you're getting out of the way. The key to this game is to just extract value from players that call too much, and isolate limpers a lot, and take pots away from people who just play fit or fold post flop. It's quite simple, and you don't have to do anything fancy. Let's see. I'm used to playing 4 tables of Zoom, so this feels really slow at the moment. I'm sure we'll get a hand soon though. I want to classify this person as a nitty tag. Which seems to be a fair assessment. 12-9. It's somewhat passive, but more often than not that player's raising. But raising quite a tight range, not really calling with too much. And I don't know what this guy's waiting for. Ends up with Queen Deuce on the button. It might look like I'm just giving up pots too easily, but really there's no point in fighting, especially when you don't have blockers against unknown opponents who are prone to calling, and then suddenly you're stuck playing an inflated pot out of position against someone you don't know anything about with no hand. It's just a world of hurt. One of the most profitable spots in these micro stakes game is the small blind versus big blind war. People don't defend their big blind against a small blind open nearly enough, so it's free money essentially. It's a vital spot. A7 here, offsuit, bit early position. I don't know anything about my opponents. I'm just gonna let it go. It's very hard to make a strong value hand that you can exploit people with A7 in that spot. Got an ace spades in the big blind. Now we know something about this guy. Seems to be standard sack. I mean, these ratings are subject to change based on whether my read of them changes. 100 hands is a lot for VPIP and PFR, but for other types of reads, you generally want a lot more. Let's see, still nothing. Suited connectors under the gun. It's not worth even trying to play. You don't have to do anything at all tricky to beat these games. I will open a shack suited under the gun. People like to give value with rubbish aces. Now this guy here, who I'm guessing is probably a fish, has 3-bet me, and he was started the hand with that's about 70 big blinds. So I'm guessing that he's not the best player in the world, but still, his raise is just too difficult to defend against, and playing this hand would just be too much of a marginal spot. Best thing I can hope for here is it folds round to the small blind. Well, it falls round to me, and then I can open. I'm tempted to 3-bet this spot if this guy opens. It's such an obvious spot for an open, especially if it was going to take a while to do it. Always ensure you have auto reload turned on. Always sat with at least 100 big blinds at the start of every hand, because you just lose too much value if you're not deep enough. Actually, that's not the right. He's a bit of a fishy tag. He's just a little bit too passive. Same for this guy. I don't know why I've opened ace deuce in this sort of position. Yeah, that's a bit of a mistake. I'm going to lead though. It's a tough bet to defend against on a flop like that. When you consider the calling range of people. 10, 10, 8 flushing is not the best flop to bet out on, especially out of position. But he could have all sorts there, and a lot of players do play really fit or fold at these stakes, so it's not too bad. If the flop was Jack 8 10 two tone, then I'm much less inclined to see bet, especially out of position, because there's just so much more hands you could have there. Now this is a strange spot that comes up quite a lot. This might be the hand to choose to analyse actually. Check raise on a quite dry ace high board with top pair medium kicker. Fish generally are passive until they have a good hand, so I can't see any way that I can play this hand profitably going forward, so I'm just going to fold. Now, I think that's a mistake a lot of people make. People will call that and get involved in a big pot against someone who has made it very clear that they're very interested in the pot and have probably got a very strong hand. I'm thinking a 2-pair or perhaps a bigger ace, although it's more likely to be a 2-pair because those small aces, ace 6, ace 4, tend to be in people's calling range. And the bigger aces, people tend to 3-bet a lot more. Have a decent hand. I don't think I'm going to any value. And the guy only had 20 big blinds anyway. Standard tap. Standard open from the hijack. My own HUD should appear in a minute. I've got 75 hands. I don't know how to work Code and Manager in such a way that my HUD just shows all of the time. But whatever. Now, a lot of people call here, and I don't like calling too much because, I mean, I am getting a ridiculously good price, but I'm already out of position with the weak ace. It's just going to be very hard to play. I'll just wait for a more dominating spot. I like to have the initiative in the hand because having the initiative makes it so much easier to get value post flop and being in position, because it just obviously does, because people like to call, and you know that hand is just, maybe a call there wouldn't have been too awful, but it's still going to be tough to play post flop. I'm trying to find an interesting hand that we can use to do an analysis on. I might split this into a separate video, so when I find the hand I'll stop recording and then I'll record the analysis separately for people who just want to watch that. Now, it's a very weak open from the cut-off. It looks quite steely. 3-bet with a hand that can flop quite well. I don't have any blockers, but I don't mind 3-betting there too much against someone who is probably just stealing. Now, the second number on the bottom line is fold to c-bet. That's 62%. This guy is a very well, he doesn't appear to be the fishiest player in the world, but I think he calls too much, so I'm gonna rebrand him as a fishy tag. Now here's a great spot that I like. Unfortunately, this guy's just ruined it. But when you get one limper, which is like, especially an open limp from under the gun, it's one of the weakest things you can do. I'm just too ridiculously priced in now. I'm going to try and flop something massive, but I'll wait for the limp spot to come back up and talk about that then. Flop nothing. What's the original razor going to do? There's absolutely nothing I can do here. The board is way too coordinated. The SPR is way too small, 3.78, and there's way too many people in the pot. I have backdoor outs, but it's just no point getting involved there, trying to win that pot. It was never going to be won. Pocket nines under the gun, always nice. This guy appears to be a fishy, tacky type player. Sort of stand. It's almost a fishy tag, but not quite. It doesn't. I've only just started using it. Colouring system that's this granular, so it's prone to mistakes. I'm not sure if I like it. I think I just prefer just simpler set of labels, tag like fish and knit. Well, where's my interesting situation? If it's boring so far. There's my HUD. Currently playing 2019, which is obviously a little bit high. I usually run at about 1714, 1715 at this stake, but obviously it's just so happened that I've been involved in more pots. No interesting situations have come up yet because everyone keeps folding. For the same reasons before, well, I would 3-bet, but let's control. Yeah, it would have worked. The great thing about when someone opens to 2, you get such a much better price on the 3-bet. It's playing 705. I should do another video where I talk through my HUD stats, just so everyone knows, because I don't have labels on. Well, important numbers. The second line, the first number is attempt to steal, and the second number is fold to steal. And the third line is the 3-bet line, so the third line is how often does certain player 3-bet, and then the fourth line is flop C-bet and turn C-bet stats. Now we've got 2 limpers here. Now this guy is a mega fish. Played with him before, just obviously not aggressive enough. I'm going to make a nice big isolation. In position, I didn't expect to get 2 calls. The mega fish has folded. So I'm doing it the best spot in the world. That kind of sucks. But normally a decent sized isolation will either take the pot there or let you play an inflated pot against a fish in position who most of the time is just going to fold on the flop. It's an easy way to print money. Go in big with the isolations, because the pre-flop fish tend to be inelastic for a couple of extra blinds on an isolation raise, so they'll happily call off and make a much bigger mistake. And it makes the pot tougher for them to play post-flop as well, because they're just most of the time it's going to have a nothing hand. This is an excellent spot to do it. I mean, yeah. So you can just pick up the pot pre-flop. You've got to give them an unfair price to come in at. You can't do a 3 or a 4x. They're just going to come in too often with stupid hands, and if they're going to come in too often with stupid hands, you might as well punish them for it. They're not going to fold many hands that they would call for 4 for 6.5. Get jacks under the gun. Can I have a hand in position, please? Now we've got a fishing net, who I think obviously can't call that. Well, okay, so we'll use this hand. We'll proof my call here and we'll see whether I can call or not. Okay, so I'm going to set out the next big blind, and then we're going to talk about that hand in another video. The analysis on that hand should be very simple. It's simply just deciding the opponent a range, and then proofing that in a poker software. The card runner's EV I'm going to use. I'm going to stop tagging players because I'm not really happy with the system I've just put together for colouring players. So I'm going to scrap that and come up with a new one. Maybe I'll make a video out of doing that. Okay, but thanks for listening. I'm going to proof that pocket jacks hand in the next video. Take care, everybody.